Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, great recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with anybody you think might get something out of it. Other than that, happy Friday, everybody. What a fucking fantastic day. Well, I mean, other than the fact that here we go again, snowing in Boston, right? I was so convinced that spring was finally coming in, and I've got so much work. I got so many things I need to do tomorrow, and now it's going to snow tonight. And look, it's all going to get put off because I have to go salt and sand and I don't think we get that much tonight, but now they're talking 5 to 8 inches on Monday. I already had an incredibly busy week. It's going to be very, very trying. I've got some work, a couple of big jobs going that I have deadlines for. They're going to be done by the end of the month. Is what it is, guys. Worst case, if I got to bring a couple guys on to help, I got to bring a couple guys on to help. I'll get it done. And I'm just laughing today. Like in the past, I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh man, I got a business. It's New England. Right? It's going to snow again. Big deal. Deal with it. Move on. Make the most of it. Make extra money. Spread some love. Put some other people to work if need be. Life is beautiful today, guys. First and foremost, I got to remember. Actually, let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? We're going to get into the reading first, guys, because this is another absolutely fantastic reading. Before I do, I just want to talk about the meeting today, guys. The reason I'm always so incredibly happy on Fridays is I try to take a lighter day, which is nice, even though I end up having to do a bunch of work today. But I get to go to my meeting. It was a really short reading today, so literally everybody in the meeting got to speak, and it's just amazing. I got a good chance to speak today. I haven't actually. We've had such busy meetings. I haven't spoken a couple weeks, and I love that I get to bring my experience and the fact that I know why I'm doing so well, and it's because I followed this program. I have built a relationship with my higher power, and I love promoting that today. All the things I like, when I think back to my former life, I'm like, if I even could have imagined the words that come out of my mouth today. But you know what? That's the beauty of recovery. I get to find out who I really am, not who I was pretending to be all along. Anyway, it's about powerlessness and personal responsibility, guys. And this is a very big thing. I am powerless. Excuse me. I am powerless over my addiction. I'm powerless over drugs I cannot use in safety. I'm not powerless over my life. Like, I have the power to make good decisions and then create good rewards and good actions and build a beautiful life. Powerless over addiction, but I take personal responsibility for my actions before, and that gave me the opportunity to change them into good action today. Like, it just makes sense, right? Powerless and personal responsibility is what we're going to talk about today, guys. It's just for today and a meditation. Through our inability to accept personal responsibilities, we are actually creating our own problems. And that's an absolute fact. Let me say it again. Through our inability to accept personal responsibilities, we were actually creating our own problems. When we refuse to take responsibility for our lives, we're giving away all of our personal power. We need to remember that we are powerless over our addiction, not our personal behavior. Very important. Many of us have misused the concept of powerlessness to avoid making decisions or to hold on to things that we had outgrown. We have claimed powerlessness over our own actions. We have blamed others for our circumstances rather than taking positive actions to change those circumstances. If we continue to avoid responsibility by claiming that we are powerless, we set ourselves up for the same despair and misery we experience in our active addiction. The potential for spending our recovery years feeling like victims is very real. Instead of living our lives by default, we can learn how to make responsible choices and take risks. We may make mistakes, but we can learn from those mistakes. A heightened awareness of ourselves and an increased willingness to accept personal responsibility gives us the freedom to change, to make choices, and grow. And that's beautiful, and it's exactly what I found. The affirmation is just for today. My feelings, my actions, and choices, my feelings, actions, and choices are mine. I will accept responsibility for them. And guys, again, when you're first walking in out of active addiction, that is a very overwhelming fact. And I was there, guys. Like, I remember sitting in rehab just overwhelmed with the totality of what I'd done, where I was at. I burnt it to the ground again. Do I have the strength to start over? Oh my God. And I was making way more out of it than it needed to be, right? Fortunately, I know that now. Unfortunately, I started listening, and I started praying, and I started receiving a return on investment of my prayers, ideas. Like I started just paying attention to what was going on, and then taking personal. And most important thing I did was take personal responsibility. I came to understand immediately in rehab that I was living in victim mentality, and I'm so glad it must have come up in one of the early groups, because I immediately realized that's all I'd been doing. So I started going back and looking at the stories I told, and like literally, I had been lying to myself to the point that I was believing it. I was doing everything. Every time I go to start saying something, it was, well, because this happened. It was never, I did this. It was, well, because of this, or because of that, or this person did that. I was denying and avoiding taking personal responsibility for everything. That's how I was living my life for years, guys. And I'm not proud to admit it. I'm proud that I know it now. But I'm not proud to admit it, but that's how it was. And it's why I failed at everything. By giving away my personal power, by refusing to accept that it was my fault, that I was making bad decisions and bad things were happening, I continued to make bad decisions, bad things continued to happen. I was giving away my power to change all that. The moment I took responsibility for it, just accepted and said, you know what, I'm just going to focus on my accountability. And I had to do that because literally it was so foreign to me in the beginning. But that's what I did. Every time I went to talk about something, I'd start, no, you know what, no, that part of it doesn't matter. Let me look at my accountability in this. No matter how victimized I may have been, no matter how much something wasn't necessarily my fault, I had a part to play in myself getting there. And a lot of times it just came down to, well, because I needed to manipulate a situation to get drugs, I allowed this to happen. Then I took this wrong action rather than doing this, which would have been the responsible thing to do. And yeah, it sucked. I mean, nobody wants to have to do those things, guys. But because I finally just manned up and I did, I saw the patterns that were applying in my life that were causing me to go so off the rails. And then I was able to take proper action to change them. And again, in the beginning, it was really, I like to bring levity into everything, so I just made a joke of it. And I'd be like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? The opposite of my actual reaction. In the beginning, like, I made a joke of it, but that's what I did. Every time I went to spew out victimhood mentality crap, I stopped and just said, no. You know what? I don't care what somebody else did in this. And literally, I had to train myself to do this. And I just stopped and I would own up to what my part was. Well, because I had done this to myself, or I put myself through this, because I had broken this law so many times, I had this hang over my head, so I did this rather than doing what was right. And lo and behold, I saw everything that was really going on in my life for the first time. I realized just how much I'd been lying to myself. And that was dramatic, like, guys. That is where the change comes in, because then I had a little bit of confidence saying, okay, well, at least I can accept this now. I can admit my wrongs. I can actually pay attention and go over it. Because that thing, guys, we numb ourselves out so we don't even look at our past and this and that. And literally, I was repressing memories. And I remember so much more now of my childhood because I would repress it all because it was all just terrible. Because I'd never taken any personal responsibility for anything. Now I do. I'm like, and again, the beauty of that is, guys, when I started taking personal responsibility and holding myself accountable, I started to see just how blessed I really was. Rather than thinking I was this cursed, just the worst luck in the world and every other stupid lie I was telling myself, no, I said, you know what? I was looking for illogical results to an illogical situation. I was manipulating situations to get what I thought I needed or what I wanted. And I was putting myself in incredibly stupid, illegal, reckless, and dangerous situations over and over and over again. I was manipulating everything and everyone I was involved with for my own personal needs. And no, it didn't make me feel good. But the problem is, what the beauty of that, I'm sorry, not the problem with that is, I came to see how incredibly lucky I was that I survived all of it. That I didn't kill anybody, that I didn't do any irreparable harm to any relationship, because I'd always walk away and anybody that mattered to me. And then I started seeing the actual, like, luck that I had, that I walked away from some of the car accidents, some of the times my mouth and my actions got me thrown in prison, and then I ended up, because I I would stack bad decisions. And I don't want to start throwing things out because it just sounds horrible. And I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to be a tough guy, but I've been thrown into state prison situations for county jail complications because of other things I had done. And again, I used to say, oh, because all right, at one point in time, I had got into a car accident in Rhode Island, and I'd ran from the scene, and I got into a fight with the cops, and I just got so incredibly mouthy because I was Mr. Joe, Joe Cool. I was working for the union at 19 years old, and I had some money in my pocket, and I was just being a complete and utter asshole. And I was drunk. And because of that, I told them straight up, I'm like, oh, they hit me for a high bail, and I'm like, oh, take your money, I live out of state, you'll never see me again. Well, they decided, even though I'd hit a parked car with nobody in it, they put out a warrant because of my mouth that said I left the scene after causing death. So now I got this warrant that reads homicide, and I get this homicide charge on my record that makes me look like this big tough guy. So they'd hold me in maximum security situations when the worst crime I have is OUI and driving unsuspended and one possession charge. But I have a lot of them. But again, I always said, oh, because that whole thing was because of a crooked cop in Rhode Island. No, it's because I was being a drunken idiot and fighting with the cops and belittling them and running my mouth and just being a complete and utter asshole. Like, my actions caused them to decide to do something to screw me over because I had it coming. And, like, that's where your power is, guys. When you see these things, you realize that nobody's out to get you. Nobody has a vendetta against you, but there are consequences for your actions. I, first of all, am now incredibly respectful to everybody, particularly police, because I understand the and again, of course, there's a bad cop here and there, but the vast majority of police are here to protect and serve. They do an amazing job. I have the utmost respect for them. I get along with prison guards better than I did the criminals, the good ones, and that's the vast majority of them. There's always the exception and the excuse, but the vast majority are great. Back in those days, I was a mouthy, wild, and most of the time I was blackout drunk, and I was just no control of what I was saying. But my actions caused me to have all these crazy things on my record, even though they didn't. And again, just like everything else in my life, my living situation, my lifestyle did not portray anything like who I actually am. I'm not a murderer. I've never hurt anybody. I've never tried to hurt anybody, and I'm grateful for that. But this is what I mean by I took my power back by taking responsibility. Because when I see that my actions created all these things, caused people to want to get at me, and I had that coming. But now I'm able to then correct those actions, and that's how I found the baseline of what I do today. It's why I require rigid honesty from myself. I can't require it from anybody else, but if I know somebody's lying through the teeth, I avoid them. I have that option today. I don't have to. I don't need anything from any. We all need a community, but I don't need any one person in my life that's a bad person because nobody can hold anything over because they're not a drug dealer with drugs, and like, it doesn't matter. I don't do drugs. I work for myself. I have my own money. I've got my own place. I got my own truck. Like, I'm sufficient today because I've taken accountability for my actions, and then I've taken actions that allow me to be a self-sufficient, thriving adult today. And this program has taught me how to do that. This program will teach you how to do that. Will teach anybody how to do that. I am a thriving success not through my own actions, because this is my time. God gave me a wake-up call, and for once I actually woke up. I stopped acting like a victim because I'm not a victim. No, I was a perpetrator of a lot of frauds, a lot of illegal actions, a lot of reckless decisions, and a lot of just careless behavior, and I was reaping the results of the seeds that I had sown. So I stopped sowing those seeds. Now I try to be as kind, as compassionate, and you know what that's done for me, guys? It's made my business thrive, because now not only does my work speak for itself, I do superior work because I've always been a worker. That's how I always had my identity. It was the only place I ever gave myself any sense of self-worth, which is a shame, but I took the strength of that and I marketed it. And then I take that recovered version of me where I don't tell lies, I require rigid on it. Because here's the thing, guys. I can go out and manipulate and get my way through. Any of us can. Where anybody that survived active addiction for decades is going to be a master manipulator. We all were, right? I don't do that today. I put that person to rest. I require rigid honesty of myself because I came to understand the biggest fraud that I was perpetrating was lying to myself. The only person that was ever holding me back, and this is a painful statement, and it took me a while to get used to saying it, was myself. The only person I was victimizing was myself, lying to myself, and then doing it so well and so often that I was starting to believe it. I was living from a history that didn't exist, a version of history that wasn't real. Everything about my life wasn't real. So I'd taken it pretty far in that respect. So it was very easy to put that to bed. And then all of a sudden, now I stand out in every situation. People are like, oh, as a matter of fact, my good friend Marlene, I love when she said it today. She's like, everybody we know is struggling with something. Nobody is just happy. Well, all right, yeah, Pat's just happy, but other than Pat, nobody's just happy. And I thought that was really cute. And Marlene, you see that? Thank you. That was great. But she's right, and the reason for it is, guys, I paid on the back end of it. I was so wrong in every situation, and I was so stressed and so miserable by lying to myself and everything else that I was actually able to let that entire life go. Everybody else at least has something from their former life. Like Marlene's dealing, is taking care of a sick mom, final end stages, or her dad's starting to get older and slip. But she's stepping up and being responsible because she loves her mother, and she's doing the hard work nobody else in the family's willing to do. So she's going through a lot. One person I respect more than probably but anybody on this planet right now, and she's doing the hard work, and she's going through hell, but she's still choosing to stay clean and move forward, and she knows what she's doing. She's working a program that's amazing. That's why I try to do as much as I can for my friend, right? And anybody I see like that, that's what we do in recovery. We lift each other up. But for me, I'm able to be happy because I have a very empty space in my life. I got rid of all the nonsense because all the nonsense was me. And then people that I required to use, to live that lifestyle. And I've been able to let all of that go. And I've been very, very rigid about requiring honesty of myself and then vetting anybody I let into my life today. Which means there's not a lot of people in my life today. And that's okay. Because every time I've cleaned out room for something good, it's either a space waiting for something good to come in and fill it, or everything in my life that I have, not that there's a whole lot, but everything I have is good today. It's positive today, and that's why I'm happy. Never mind just shedding that lifestyle that was a complete fabrication and lie. I was able to let that go, so now I'm aging backwards because of a lack of stress. And then I'm taking good actions every day. I'm going to the gym. I'm eating clean, no processed foods. I go to my doctors. I pay attention to things. I actually use skincare products, and I take vitamins and Mars Men's testosterone sports supplement, things that are appropriate for a person my age. And then I take that best version of Bear, and I go to the gym every day. And again, I was at the gym again this morning, and I'm playing with 385 pounds. I could have gone to 390 today, but I'm like, no. I did 3 sets at 385. And again, I used to start out and have to go up in increments of 10. Now I'm going up in 50-pound increments, right? So I get right up into the high 300s. And I just put on a show. You should see the looks I'm getting at the gym. And I'm vain, I'm human. I'm not doing it for that reason. But I can't say I don't like seeing people, Jesus Christ. Like I'm putting on a show of what's possible in recovery today. And that's why I'm happy. Because it's working. But it's working because I'm doing it right. I put first things first. I wake up in the morning and I don't answer my phone. I don't do anything until I get down on my knees and pray. And I thank God for my sobriety. I ask Him to help me remain focused on my sobriety. I ask Him to help me be the best version of me, to have knowledge of His will for me, the power to carry it out, and to make a difference in my world. And then, from that nice, centered, grounded point where I go, okay, that's my focus, I then start answering phone calls and service calls and doing my work. But in the back of my head, I have that focus. We're doing this from that position, from a recovered, best version of me place. And everything just goes better. I still deal with nonsense. I deal with stress. I deal with a million phone calls. We got the snow coming. I got too much work already. I got commitments. Yeah, I'm going to be stretched thin. But today, I don't let it overwhelm me because I know I'm only human. I will bring in as much help as I can. I will do the very best I can. And I will contact everybody as I'm doing so and let them know where I can and where I can't. And I know my customers today, they'll work with me. I answer emergencies. If there's something about to explode, if somebody doesn't have heat, if there's water pouring through a ceiling, those are priority. If there's snow on the ground, I got 90 apartments I manage. I got to make sure people can get in and out. People understand that. Anything from there. If somebody wants me to come and, hang a closet door, okay, we'll get there. But it's not going to be until I'm done with X, Y, and Z. And they understand that today. And because I do all these things, life goes well, and I'm happy. And I get to the extra, Doesn't mean I'm not fighting battles. It just means I'm winning them for a change. Guys, that's a video for today. Thank you so very much for being here with me. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.